Hey, what's up, addicts? We're sitting here at the 2019 ICAST show, and we're super excited to finally announce the first products from the Addicted Mustad launch. We've been working on these things for what, like almost a year?
Solid year. In 2018 at ICAST, we talked to these guys and we baked this idea of getting these products to the market in the Northwest through Mustad. And what's been great is they've been allowed us to let us go this whole year, work on the products, get them dialed, get them to where we needed to be. And guess what? 2019, we're launching them for you guys. I know a few of you guys have heard little snippets here and there.
We've been teasing them out there,
yeah, I mean,
showing the ballers and live feeds and stuff, but
no, at the end of the day, we've got the products right here. And the first thing I'm going to start with is just the Walleye Death Spinner, you guys. For those of you guys that like the walleye jigging all up and down the Columbia River and beyond, wherever you guys are doing the walleye fish, this is a great prop weight. It's called the Walleye Death Spinner. It comes in 3 different sizes, great colors, great finishes, and we've added some mylar strands in there too. That when you're jigging the worm or when you're jigging your rubber bait, it adds just a lot of flash and a lot of life to that bait when you're popping them off the bottom. So it's a great walleye spinner.
TJ, I've personally seen murder a lot of fish with
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll see that. You'll see a lot more of this from TJ Hester over in Tri-Cities.
All right, guys, so the next thing, obviously, a lot of you have been asking for this for freaking ever. It's the new Addicted float. We still have a couple more variations to change on this thing, but it's coming. It'll be launching in retailers very soon. So the Addicted float is coming, and I know all you guys know about it, so that'll be the first one. The next one we have is we're putting a couple variations of our own twitching jigs out. We did a hoochie jig, and with this jig, what we found is on typical hoochie jigs, like I've told you guys in the past, is you miss a lot of fish because your jig hook is right in the middle of those hoochie tentacles. So by bringing that hook back and setting it back, when that fish comes up and bites it, you just miss a lot less fish. And you were telling me too, you snag a lot less, right?
Well, you snag a lot less because it's not a fixed hook. And so like if you come up on a log, you hope that that hook will lay down and brush over logs and getting into that stuff that you're doing. So you end up snagging less too, but with that hook kind of hung back there too, when the fish grabs the bait and you either go to twitch or set the hook, it does a lot to move that hook into the corner of the mouth. So you're getting effective hook sets. Oh yeah, and then it avoids the coho death roll.
Exactly.
It's a huge piece for the jig.
Keeps them on.
Exactly. The other thing I'm super excited about is these twitching jigs. And we've been working on these for a really long time. And the thing about these jigs is we used a different material than anyone can use on the planet. Mustad actually has rights to use this material and no one else can use it. And what's cool about it, hopefully we'll show you guys some videos later of this material kind of moving in the tank, but the material moves without even you doing anything to it.
We learned when we went up to film Addicted Alaska 1 and seeing some of the flies and stuff that the guys are in Alaska, and we have video of these jigs laying on the bottom, but if there's just the subtlest of movement, the subtlest of current, that mylar and that flash still makes that jig look like it's alive. It's adding movement, it's adding action to your presentation, and of course with coho twitching, as we all know, the more of that stuff you can get in there, the better. So even though in this indoor light you guys can't see, there's some mylar strands in there, but this stuff in the sunlight or out in the outdoors just looks freaking incredible.
Dude, it just glows.
And it works amazing.
The other cool thing we did, and something different than anyone else on the market, was we made bigger jigs. We've always found that a bigger jig seems to work better. So we did a 1/2 ounce, 3/4, and a 1 ounce. And people are thinking like, why the hell did you do a 1 ounce? Well, it turns out that Chinook really like to eat these jigs.
Well, and even it's not just Chinook, but it's also cohos, and like when the water's low and they're caked in deep holes, or even when the water's high and you need to get down to that lower third where those cohos are always at. No, man, you need a good heavy jig. I mean, it's like it's the progression. We started all with 3/8.
Yeah.
And then everyone started realizing, oh, 1/2 ounces are pretty cool. Well, last year we got to enjoy testing a lot of the 3/4 and the 1 ounce jigs. Insanely effective.
Yeah, they fall really fast, which that's the thing that coho like to see, is when that jig comes up and then falls, that's when they're crushing it.
It helps clients detect bottom too a little better and stuff, and honestly, because they're detecting bottom sooner, they're snagging less because they're not dropping in there and then letting it drag until they finally feel something.
Yeah.
It's extremely effective. 3/4, 1 ounce, it's gonna be game.
Sick. Jordan, what do you got?
Well, last but not least, everybody, the steelhead products. What I have here first I'm going to talk about is the Addicted worm head. This we've kind of really gone through and added just a few variations to the classic jig head that you would normally use for fishing worms. First and foremost, probably the best part is the Mustad patented worm keeper. Kevin Van Dam designed this and we added it to our little line of jig heads here. But we've also extended that shank of that hook to allow you to put more of that worm on the hook, which ultimately makes you miss less fish. when those fish come up and grab, kind of the same idea as the hoochie jig. That hook's set further back and you can get those fish and not have those short strikes and take the tail of that worm off like they love to do.
Exactly.
Like I always love to see marlin, oh look, it's pulled. No more, but that's the addicted worm head. We also came out with an entire line of just jig heads themselves for tying your own jigs, for using that classic ball style of jig head that you like to use with your worms or whatever kind of presentation that you're going to be using these things for. Full variation of colors all through the color spectrum, which is perfect.
No, I mean, and the durability of these paints too and stuff, what these guys are using, they're using their own proprietary process, so that paint's gonna stay on. Those jigs are gonna look sexy when you're tying them or when you're adding worms or whatever you're adding to them.
And I've tested the hell out of them, like slamming them against rocks and doing all that, and they're very durable compared to anything else on the market. For
Well,
sure.
and I'll say this much, well, we all know catching fish on jigs and worms, usually you keep them on a lot better. I took these jig heads in particular to Alaska. I know a lot of us fished them all winter, but I took these to Alaska and I was worried about how deep that hook would be going in those fish and whether it would hurt a wild fish. Money. Every time that thing was stuck, and I was probably at least 70 to 80% on landing fish. So they hold on to them and they stay on. So
sweet.
Be looking for these bad boys.
Next thing is probably my favorite product.
It is the grand finale, everybody. The steelhead jig.
Cameron actually came up with the name on these things,
Yep.
the Sink It series.
The Sink It series steelhead jig, guys. This is used with that same patented Mylar material. Full range of colors. We went through and picked our favorite colors that we like to use for any season of steelhead, even salmon as well. So
yeah, we're going to extend that into the salmon line for sure, as you see, you know, the eventual additions that we're going to add to that. But one thing with it, it's the same material that this Mustad has proprietary rights over using. And guess what? In dirty water, in tingy water, you got to get these fish's attention with your presentation. That Mylar, it breathes, it looks incredible, it holds body. Like that's the biggest thing about this material, is it holds body. So if it's getting swept by the current, it's got a big presentation. There's something for the fish to see and lock onto, and it worked great.
Well, and when we got these examples and these first little trial runs of these jigs, I know all three of us took them out and the next day caught fish.
You sent us pictures of like 7
until we
fish
ran out of the colors that we had, and then of course we had to use the old stuff. But these are going to work incredible, guys. You're going to be excited to have them in your box.
Thanks so much for listening to this, guys, and always thanks so much for the support. We appreciate you guys supporting the Addicted brand, and so when these products hit retailers, go grab them, go buy them, go use them, tag us in your pictures. We're excited about it. We'll see you guys on the river.
Later, guys.